Taoiseach, Judge Lafoy, fellow panel members, and members of the Citizens' Assembly. Thank you for the invitation to speak in front of your Citizens' Assembly for your inaugural meeting. I'm deeply honoured to be given this opportunity. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. It's late in the afternoon, you've heard a lot and you still have a lot to do, so I'm going to keep my remarks very short and to the point. There's just 4 points that I want to make to you. And the first thing that I want to say is that this Citizens' Assembly is of historic importance. And I don't say this lightly. This is one of the very few occasions, as the Taoiseach said in his remarks, one of the very few occasions anywhere in the world that a random selection of citizens from across the length and breadth of this country, from all walks of life, of all different ages and backgrounds, selected at random by an opinion poll company, have been brought together to discuss details about our Constitution, the Irish Constitution. And there really only have been, I stress this, a handful of cases like this in the world. I was asked to sort of show you some photographs to give you a sense of the context of what you're getting yourselves in for. So these are 3 of the world's first such citizens' assemblies. These were the citizens' assemblies in Canada of British Columbia and Ontario, and the Citizens' Assembly of the Netherlands. All of them shared in common the same sort of thing that you're going to be going through, which is spending a long period of time giving a lot of space to discuss detailed questions about their country's constitution. And this is the 4th. So there have been 4 before this one. So the 4th occasion in the world where we had something like this, which was the Irish Constitutional Convention. So there's a photograph of your predecessor operation, the Constitutional Convention that operated between 2012 and 2014. And that is the grand total. There have only been, as I say, 4 cases in the world where a government has invited a random selection of its citizens to discuss a country's constitution and how it might be reformed. And that's a big deal. That really is a big deal. I mean, we get opportunities as citizens quite regularly to vote in referendums, to have a final say on whether to change a constitution, to say yay or nay to a referendum question that is put before us. And we're not different in that regard. That's quite common in many other countries. But it's rare, it's very rare, I keep stressing this, for a group of citizens to be given the sort of opportunity that each one of you is being given to discuss constitutional questions and possibly suggest changes that will then be discussed by the Oireachtas and then may go forward to a referendum where all the citizens get to vote. So that's the first point I want to stress, that it's a pretty unique and powerful role that's been given to you as a group of citizens of this country. And then my second point is to talk about continuity. There's a sense of continuity about this Citizens' Assembly of yours, because if you've got the picture there before you of the predecessor operation, the Irish Constitutional Convention. So in fact, Ireland is unique. We're unique in this regard. We're the first time anywhere in this world that 2 sets of processes like this have happened in a row. And I think it's worth just reflecting on that for a second, because I think that says a lot about the sense that the last Constitutional Convention was really quite a success. Such a success that the government has decided to set another one up. And I think all due credit should be given to the government in that regard, that they have taken the step to set up a second Citizens' Assembly. And it's continuity in the sense that you will follow the same mode of operation. The picture that you see before you will be the sort of picture that will become familiar to you over coming months. Sitting in a hotel ballroom, much like the convention before you did, following the same operating procedures that the previous speakers have been talking about. Careful, informed deliberation. And that brings me to my third point. My third point about how this Citizens' Assembly, your Citizens' Assembly, will operate as far as I can see it. Today is a very formal affair. We're all here, with sort of those of us on the stage anyway, are in our shirts and ties and our formal wear, and that's the way it should be. As I've been saying, this is a moment of historic importance, and it should be reflected in that way by the formality of the occasion. But after today, your meetings are going to be very different. It's worth just noting that if you haven't already been thinking about what happens after today. As you can see from the pictures there, it's a very different operation. Instead of all of you sitting in a row looking up at the stage, you're all going to be at tables in this hotel ballroom, sitting in circles, sitting around small tables talking to each other. And believe me, you'll be well fed and watered, and you're going to deserve that. You're going to be working very hard. So I know that the organisers will make sure that you have plenty of feeding and watering to keep you going, to keep the energy up, to keep your motivation. So you will enjoy yourselves as much as anything else. So to stress, you'll be dispensing with the formal dress, you'll be rolling up the shirt sleeves, you'll be getting into the detail of what you have to discuss. And if you don't believe me, just focus for a second on that fourth photograph. There's a photograph of your predecessors. Now, there's no doubt from that photograph that these are people, I believe one of them might even be here now, if I'm not mistaken, who'll be talking to you later. These are people who are working very hard, literally in their shirt sleeves, spending all day Saturday and most of Sunday talking about the details of constitutional reform. But the second thing that's of note about that picture is they're enjoying themselves. It is hard work, but it's very enjoyable work. It's very stimulating work. And once you settle into the mode of this, I can guarantee you're going to enjoy it, because your predecessors certainly did. And then my final point, which is to point out, I think, something that should be obvious to all of you in the room. Because your job over the coming months is to examine a number of important questions about our Constitution. You've heard about this from the previous speakers. So you're going to be discussing the Constitution and how politics operates in this country. You're going to be given lots of information to read. You're going to hear lots of information from experts. You're going to hear commentary from advocates and various groups and individuals. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to debate, deliberate, and come to a considered view on each of the questions, each of the topics that you've been asked to consider. And the outcome of your deliberations may well be to recommend change. But this is the point I want to stress. It's not necessarily so in all instances. It's quite in order for you to consider on whatever question you're looking at, not to consider change. That decision is entirely yours as the members of this Citizens' Assembly. So to conclude, and if you don't mind me saying this, I'm extremely jealous of you. I really wish I was sitting where you are right now. You're the lucky chosen few. A lot's going to be asked of you over the coming months. You're going to give up an awful lot of time. You're going to lose weekends where you might prefer to be doing something else. But I promise you, and that picture I hope reflects this, you're also going to enjoy yourselves. So all I can do is just wish you all best of luck in your deliberations. Thank you.